Welcome to our second week of Work-Life Balance Wednesday, a video series for teachers who are looking to just be a little more prepared and a little less stressed as we go back and start a new school year. So tonight we're talking all about creating boundaries, which I hear an awful lot with the teachers that I work with, that boundaries are very difficult for them to set. When people become teachers, they aren't just picking a job to have, they are picking a career. And it's most likely because they have an insane amount of passion for the work that they are doing as teachers. And so that creates a really hard spot for teachers who want to continually support their students, but also need to draw that line and that boundary of work and life, because work when you're a teacher usually is mostly your life. I mean, it really does encompass all portions of your life. So tonight we are going to break down different ways that you can be more successful at creating boundaries and hopefully sticking to them throughout the school year and not letting them go by the wayside when things start to get really busy. So the very first thing that I want to talk about is pick a night, one night a week where you're going to stay a little later. So if Tuesday nights is your night that works for you and your family, that maybe you don't leave at 4:30, you're going to stay until 5:30 just to catch up on things and make sure everything's done. Limit yourself to only doing that one night a week. You cannot stay late every night. I'm not going to lie to you. That's not a thing. So choose one night where you feel comfortable spending extra time there if you need to. You might not need to, okay? Only one. I also want you to set a goal for what time you want to leave the building by every day. So my goal last year was that I was going to be out of the building by 4:30. My contract said I had to stay until 4, but I was going to be done with all of my teacher things by 4:30, and I did not allow myself a night to stay late. So I want you to set a timer. I've also seen hacks from some of my friends, some teacher hacks, where they have it show up as an alarm on their watch or on their phone that it's 4:30 and it says go home on it. So if you are one of those people that needs a visual or a reminder because you lose track of time after school, that is a good way to set yourself up for success. If you are working from home this year with distance learning, that looks a little different. You're already home. So my suggestion would be, when your contract says you can be done, you're done. You walk away. If you go back for 15 or 20 minutes later on in the evening, that's probably an okay thing to do once in a while, but do not make it a nightly habit, and don't sit at your teacher desk for hours on end. You're going to need to limit your amount of time at that space. So when your contract says you're done, just be done if you're teaching from home. Another option for people who are teaching at home is that you need to keep your morning routine the same. So it got really easy for me to wake up, hop in the shower, quick blow dry my hair, not put any makeup on, throw on some sweats, put on a t-shirt, sit down, do the things I needed to, and then just my morning routine was off. I wasn't getting up, I wasn't following all the things. After I decided that that was probably not the best thing for my mental health, and I started to do my makeup, do my hair the way I normally would, getting up at my normal time, life got a lot more structured, and it was a lot healthier for all of us. So if you are teaching from home, try to keep your morning routine the same so that you have a little bit of structure in your day. The other thing that you need to do if you are working from home is claim that space like we talked about last week. Find a spot so that you have a boundary of, this is where I do school stuff, and school stuff stays here. I'm not having it spread amongst the house all over the place, because that will stress you out. And so claim your space in your house. You also need to communicate with your family about what your needs are every day and what their needs are. If you have an IEP meeting from 2 to 4, then you need to communicate that with your family so that they know that during that time, mom, wife probably isn't going to be available, and that you might need assistance if you have small kids or whatever that is. You also need to take into account what they need throughout the day. I had toddlers home while I was teaching from home, and I had to lower the snack shelf eventually because they kept interrupting me for a snack. And I'm like, okay, yes, we had a hand signal. Yep, you can have a snack. You know what we had different signals that made communicating their needs just easier. And we put in some systems in place that made that easier for them to be independent as well, so that they didn't have to interrupt me as much. That brings me to my next thing, which is visual cues. If you have a time where you are recording a video for your class, or you have something that you do not want interrupted, include your kids in on that. Create a sign that you post in your workspace that says, that they recognize as mommy's sign to not interrupt. Or maybe it's your husband, because my husband's notorious for interrupting me. I always have to pre-warn him, like, hey, doing a video now, stop talking to me. So just make sure that you're communicating with them so that you're not frustrated when you're halfway through a 20-minute long lesson and they come barging in and interrupt it all and you have to start over. So just some really quick tips that I've learned briefly in my video space here. The other thing is that you just need to be flexible and try again tomorrow if things didn't go well today. Wake up with that positive mindset and move on. Even that's for in the classroom, that's for at home. If things did not go to plan, it's easy to dwell on it. Learn from it, move on, wake up the next day and rock it. That's all. The other thing is that we have a lot of anxiety this year. I have a lot of teachers reaching out to me, asking me how to balance the anxiety of teaching this year and not taking it home with them, not dwelling on it. And I want you to set a 15-minute time frame for yourself, just 15 minutes a day where you can worry. So if you're in the middle of something and you have a thought that just won't go away, squash it, write it down on a piece of paper, come back to it during your scheduled 15 minutes. So if 3 to 3:15 every day is going to be your 15 minutes to worry, you know that you can write it down and you'll have time for that later. You do not have to worry about it all day long. If you are purposeful and you set a time where you can get your anxiety out, then your brain will learn that that's its time. It doesn't need to worry all day long. So, yeah, that one's hard, and it is going to take some consistency for that to become habit for you. And it's still not habit for me all the time, but it really does help a lot. The other thing is just don't be afraid to disconnect. Take your work email off your phone. When you walk out the door at night, it's not your responsibility anymore. When you wake up at 6 a.m. and you want to start your morning routine, your email is not your responsibility at that time. Get in the habit of checking it when you get to school, throughout the day, and then once right before you leave to go home, and then be done with it. Disconnect from school. Don't let it run your life. When it's on your phone, you feel obligated to answer it once you've read it so that you don't forget it or things like that. Just don't put yourself in the position to have to answer it when you have your time. That goes for student boundaries, parent boundaries. Nothing is that important, and if it is, they'll give you a phone call. You don't need to respond to the emails. The other thing that you might find beneficial to disconnect from, especially right now, is social media. I cannot hang out on Facebook. I can't do it. I come on here, I support my groups, I do my Facebook Lives, and then I get off because I have zero desire to see the negativity that is being bred on Facebook right now. There's so much anxiety-inducing comments, and everyone is so passionate about what they believe right now, and this is a platform for them to use, but it has gotten to the point now where I have to take a break from it. So do not be afraid to disconnect from social media. It's okay. I have zero notifications on any of my social media apps, and I have a timer set so that I know when I have spent enough time in social media, because it's not worth the discontent that I feel after I have been scrolling through Facebook for 15 or 20 minutes. So, are there any questions that you guys have? Anything that you would like clarification on? Sorry. Had it set so that I can't see your guys' comments. Oh, now you're seeing my wall. I can't see your comments. So if you do, comment below, type them out. I'll answer them to you directly. But setting boundaries is a hard one for teachers, and it has to be an intentional thing that you guys do. And I have had to learn it running my business from home this summer, that I have scheduled times where I need to do stuff, and you guys need to do the same for yourselves and your families. And join us next week, same time, same place. We are going to be talking all about creating routines that work for you and your busy life. So I will see you guys next week.